We are live, people. Give me a minute. I'm going live on Instagram. Technical difficulties here on the Instagram. All right, we should be live on Instagram as well. Anybody out there that's on Instagram, give me a thumbs up to make sure you hear and see me. IG World, IG World. Here it goes. 3 seconds. All right. All right. We should be live. YouTube, we are live. Instagram, we are live. So, welcome to the Key. Today's class is captain's class. Because of the snow, we are canceling it and we are doing a live stream of the captain's class. But it is open to everybody. We have thousands of students who signed up for our free pre-sergeant's course that should be watching this because we are covering discipline. We are covering EEO. This is all very testable procedures for all exams, whether you're studying for sergeant, lieutenant. But this will be the captain's course, captain's class that was scheduled for today in Long Island. Quick introduction. My name is George Mifsud. I've been with the Key since 2006, retired captain. I also wrote a prior promotional exam. We have Ralph Salento, who is on this YouTube live with us as well. Ralph's retired lieutenant commander from DB. He's also a professor at John Jay. He also does seminars for law enforcement all throughout the United States. He is a well-qualified teacher, okay? We also have Frank Vega, who is on the screen. Frank is one of our instructors. He's retired 2-star chief, patrol bureau commander from Staten Island. I'm just going to turn it over to Ralph and Frank just to say hello, and then we will get into the course. Ralph?
Hey, guys. Good morning. I hope everybody's taking it easy in the snow out there. Everybody stay in. When I found out that they were going to do this class virtually, I think that is so phenomenal. So I could come on and say hello to maybe the Long Island students who I don't get to see that much. Same thing with Frank. It's great to be here with everybody. We're going to go through George's lesson. Always does a great job. I know any of you who have me for sergeant or lieutenant, you can. My wretched, horrible voice is going to be a reminder to you. So it's great to see everybody. Take it easy in the snow, and it's great to be on a video call.
Awesome. Frank?
Yeah, good morning, everybody. Good to see everybody remotely. Frank Vega here. I'm the rookie in the group. I've been with the Key for about 4 years, which coincides with my retirement from the NYPD 4 years ago. Did a 30-year stint with the NYPD. Happy to be teaching with you. I did a volley of courses already with the Key. Great students. I did the Staten Island. I do the Brooklyn locations, and I fill in wherever needed. I'm here to help you get better prepared for this exam with tips, techniques, lessons, tricks, acronyms. Historical questions. George hit it right on the head. Discipline. I guarantee a question on your next exam. OEO, I guarantee a question on your next exam. So these are things you have to be paying attention to. So just, we want you to knock it out of the park. We want you to be successful. And we're here every step of the way at the Key. So thank you for the introduction. And please be safe out there, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, George. Thank you, Ralph.
Excellent, guys. Thanks for introducing yourself and saying hello. So really quick, for those that are just tuning in for the first time, the Key, we've been operating almost 30 years, since 1998. We are the longest running, most respected, and most successful school out there. We are a team. Like, you just met some of our team, all right? We had police commissioner who was our instructor. We had Kevin Ward, chief of staff. Frank Vega, 2-star chief. Paul McCormick, DI, John Monahan, retired captain, Anthony Russo, retired inspector, Ralph, myself. Together, we bring you so much experience when it comes to the NYPD world and testing that you are not going to get anywhere else. Besides that, we are the only school where an instructor has wrote a prior promotional exam. And if anybody else out there tells you they did it, they're full of shit. All right? I am the one, the only one that wrote a prior promotional exam. So you're getting experience from both sides when it comes to taking exams. You're not going to get that anywhere else. All right? Results on exams. Our team, we're on 1 and 2 on a lieutenant's exam, number 1 and 3 on a sergeant's, and 1 on a captain exam. Highest ranking on all promotional exams. You're not going to get that anywhere else, all right? So that's just a little bit about who we are. Also, I would like to say John Monahan, who is the brains with the content behind the scenes. He was the former commanding officer of MODS. What do you need to know about MODS? That unit is the unit that handles the patrol guide, administrative guide, that publishes the revision orders. They write the manual. John was in charge of that unit. Again, you're not going to get the experience anywhere. I guarantee it, okay? That's enough about tooting our horn. We don't need to toot our horn. Just ask your sergeants, lieutenants, captains who they studied with, all right? And they will tell you they studied with the key. So today's lesson is lesson 4. Lieutenants out there studying for captain, right? You only got 16 more. That's it. It doesn't seem like a lot, but it's a lot of material coming your way, okay? Stay on par, all right? It's before you know it, August, September is going to be here, and it's test day, and guess what? That's it. You can't turn back the hand of the clock and say, I should have done more for this. You got to go be all in it now, so you take this last test and never have to take another test again. Just go out there and do your job and be good, and then you'll get promoted above that, all right? Unless you know somebody, and you'll be super promoted very fast like we've seen recently, okay? So we're covering employee rights, which is the old like 205 when it comes to EEO and off-duty employment, and we're covering discipline as well. We resume live class 2 weeks from today, well, from yesterday. In the Bronx, Ralph's class will be on Saturday, February 7th, and the Long Island class will be on Sunday, February 8th. We are resuming with Patrol Guide Section 207. We go in order of the Patrol Guide. We don't bounce around. You should learn it from actors going forward. That's how you build upon what you're learning as you study with us, all right? You will also get your next textbook, which contain the next few lessons at that live class. For those that want to get a head start and start preparing for 207, which I highly suggest, you should always read before you come to class. Read the manual one time, then come to class, and we break it down. A week from today, Sunday, February 1st, we will have uploaded into COPS 207. We are waiting to the last minute because the job comes out with revision orders, and we don't want to have to make changes on you, all right? So a week from today, you will have access to the next lesson, 207, all right? A lot of important stuff in today's material. I'm going to start with probably the most important procedure in today's lesson. So when we do discipline in the key, we also cover corruption, which comes out of 207 because that kind of falls under the discipline category. And we cover UMOS, civilian MOS involved in domestic violence because that's going to result in discipline as well. So I want to start with that procedure, which is going to be on page 49. It's 20837, uniform and civilian MOS involved in domestic violence. This is going to be handled like if you were right in front of me at class, right? I'm going to do the 40 minutes, 45 minutes. We're going to take a break. We're going to go again, take another break, just like we were doing a live class, except you're not going to obviously have me right there in front of you. I'm going to try and still keep the jokes and the cursing the way I do to keep you guys and girls entertained, all right? So there's 20837. This domestic violence procedure, we have history going back. The last 7 captain exams, It's been on every exam for a total of 11 questions. If you don't know this procedure cold, you're giving up a question. Like, you need to look at this procedure. Besides knowing it cold, you need to say to myself, how the fuck are they going to trick me on test day? Because it's really not hard. And I'm going to go through, if I'm writing a question and I want it to be that dick like Vucinaj was on the 2015 lieutenant exam and trick you, I'm going to prepare you so you don't fall for the bullshit tricks, because the content is not that hard. It comes up every exam, every rank. Sergeant, lieutenant, captain, you are getting this procedure. So let's go right into it. Start with the box on the top right. If you got a walk-in complaint, they walk into the command, all right, whoever you are, the TS op, station house security, you are going to refer them to the desk officer. You do not get involved with that, all right? And the desk officer, you don't let anybody who's not investigating the incident talk to the complainant. That's the first thing. Now, we have the cops responding to a job out in the street, all right? When they respond, you're going to obtain medical attention if necessary, investigate and ascertain the facts, ensure the patrol sergeant is responding. Now, when you see the cops ensuring something, it's very unusual, because usually when we have the word ensure, it's attached to a boss, all right? But here, it's attached to the responding cops. Why are they ensuring? Because the patrol sergeant was automatically requested by Central. So don't fall for the ensure and you say, wait, that can't be the cop's duty. That's a boss. No. In this procedure, it is the cop's duty. You see what I just did? This is what we are here for, to teach you where they can get you with the bullshit, something like that, all right? All right, patrol sergeant, you're up. Always. Now, those words, I've been saying this since 2006. Always, must, if, and, or, never. Those are fucking killer words. We have it underlined, bold, capitalized for a reason. Train yourself now to get those words down. It comes up a lot. They may get you with one time, and you want to get that right, all right? You get that question right, you are going to be ahead of the game, because a lot of people are going to drop that one, right? So patrol sergeant does two things always. It's always directs a DIR is prepared, provide a copy of the DIR, the pink copy, and the victim's rights notice to the complaining victim if present. And the other always is always apprise parties of counseling. Now, what counseling is available? If you look in the box on the right, it says counseling is coming from additional data. Let me stop you right there. Additional data, like I said, I wrote a prior exam. Additional data is 99% of the time found at the end of a procedure. And the examiners go there. Why? Especially for sergeant lieutenant exams, because you just read until they hit the act that you're responsible for, and you stop reading the procedure. No, you got to go forward to the end. Don't read, obviously, if it's not your actor, but see if there's any notes or additional data at the end, because they can come at you, and a lot of times additional data has no actor attached, like right here. So counseling is available to MOS and their families. You may contact them for services or referrals or shelter, such as we have the Family Assistance Section, Employee Assistance Unit, Counseling Services Unit, Chaplains Unit, the new name for Psych Services, Behavioral Care and Support Section, Sick Desk Supervisor, NYPD Helpline, or Operations, all right? Back to the patrol sergeant. There's going to be 4 scenarios when you arrive as the sergeant, and this is where they go a lot on sergeant exams, all right? Bottom line is, am I notifying the desk officer or am I requesting CO duty captain? Please get these 2 rules down that come out of 4 scenarios. They trick people all the time. So first up, if you have cross complaints or there is doubt to who is the victim or complainant, patrol sergeant notifies the CO duty captain, who will determine action to be taken. If the MOS is a victim, patrol sergeant notifies the CO duty captain, will ensure appropriate action and apprise of counseling. So those first 2 scenarios there, the patrol sergeant notifies the CO duty captain. Next up, you're going to see the sergeant now goes to the desk officer. This is where they fuck people up. So please get these rules down. If the MOS is a perp, patrol sergeant What are you doing now? You are notifying the desk officer, precinct of occurrence, all right? Last scenario, no offenses alleged. There's no notifying CO duty captain or desk officer. Who are you notifying? With nobody. Look what it says. You're going to counsel parties involved and have a DIR prepared. If you look at the box right here that just compares the 4 scenarios, this box is golden. When they just compile the information and they compare it right in front of you, you will get the rules down, all right? And duty captain, if the MOS is a victim, if the incident occurred in New York City, you're going to respond and take appropriate action and apprise of counseling. Now, next page. This is probably where they will go, because this is when a lot more paperwork and notifications get involved. The MOS committed an offense, all right? Patrol sergeant, you're going to direct a 61 to be prepared, and we already said notify the desk officer, precinct of occurrence. Desk officer, what do? You're going to notify and confer with the CO duty captain. You're going to notify IAB. They determine the appropriate investigating command. You're going to get an IAB log number, and that log number is going on 3 places. When you see a list, 3, 4, something like that, think about it's an easy test question for the examiners to write. They don't have to just have to make something else on the list. So the 3 spots, the IB log number is going. Where is it going? All right, in the results section of the DIR, details section of the 61, and informs database. Easy test question right there. Desk officer, you're going to prepare a report on typed letterhead. 49, it says 5 copies, maybe 6 if guns are removed, all right? Now, when you see a long list, when it has all the distribution going to different people, sometimes it's a lot to get down, but please always get down who it's addressed to. The first guy or girl on the list, all right? So the 49, 5 copies, maybe 6, goes to chief of IAB with the original DIR, 2 commanding officers, the precinct of occurrence and the MOS's commanding officer, the CO of the medical division, CO of employee resource section. Look what it says, fax immediately. Fucking 2026, we're still faxing shit. I don't understand, but that is still in the book. Fax immediately. And here's the big if, another killer word. If guns are removed, personnel orders division, all right? Get that down, okay? And again, they get forwarded in a sealed envelope with copies of the 61 and the DIR. CO duty captain, you don't got much shit in here, okay? So, but this is coming your way on test day. Hopefully 3 questions, you get 3 points right here. CO duty captain, you're going to conduct an immediate investigation, take appropriate action as per 208-36. You are going to look at this one. This has been asked. It comes from various procedures, all right? Prior to changing the duty status, have IAB conduct a background check. Duty status decision is still yours, Captain. They are just giving you a background check, all right? Don't let them fool you on test day. If the offender is not present and further investigation is required, you're going to confer with and request help of IAB if necessary. And now you have another CO or captain involved here. The first one was the CO duty captain. Now you have the commanding officer of the MOS. On test day, I don't know if they'll come at you with 2 different COs, but you have to be ready, okay? So the CO of the MOS, you're going to keep a confidential file on all MOS assigned who have been involved in domestic incidents and confer with IAB regarding the status of ongoing investigations. This was 2 pages. It's not hard. I told you where they will trip you up. Sergeant, are you notifying CO duty captain or are you notifying desk officer precinct of occurrence? The 49 part, okay? Please get it down. I wanted to start with that procedure because, like I said, 11 questions on the last 7 exams, and this is valid for every rank you are studying for. Now we're going to flip to the front of the book. Ralph's going to jump in because he loves doing offensive material because he used to fucking hang, you know, these posters of like half-naked men in the gym when he was training to get him all pumped up, right? And then he's going to talk about transgender. I'm not going to reveal whether he was in the transitioning phase. Maybe he will. So, Ralph, you want to take it off with offensive material?
Okay, so 332.02 display of offensive material. As far as studiers go, right? You study for sergeant, lieutenant, and now captain. This is like a buzzing bee because they go to it, then they won't go to it. So there's like we have stats back, let's say for like 7 or 8 captain's exams. It's been on half of them, which is a pain in the ass because that means it hasn't been on half of them. And so it's like it shows up for sergeant, then it doesn't. Then it shows up for lieutenant, and it's annoying. It's annoying enough that you have to cover it. And the reason why it's important to cover on a captain's exam is because we're so used to studying for sergeant, lieutenant, and all that, that your duties end. But when it comes to captain, there's something else that has to be done. So I'm going to give you like a brief overview of what creates a hostile work environment. Now you can see on your page here that John underlined and bolded tattoos, right? And so display of offensive material is awkward because it mentions like VCRs and all this other stuff and cable, right? So in one way, it's not really an updated procedure, but in the other way, I want you to focus in and stop thinking about Playboy centerfolds. Stop thinking about a show on Cinemax in the dorm. Get your mind out of that. Okay, this is not the 90s. Stop thinking about centerfolds in the bathroom. Start thinking about electronics. Electronics. If this comes to you, it's going to come to you via podcast where somebody's leaning on the wall listening to a podcast that is about sex or it's about the KKK or about something racist, and so it's going to be electronics. So yes, of course, all that stuff is still in the procedure, right? You can't hang a naked picture of a lady on the wall. I got all that, but get your mind, start thinking about electronics, podcasts, videos, Instagram reels. Somebody's leaning against the desk listening to something that's offensive. That's where your mind has to be, because for years this was taught, and all we're like, oh my God, you can't hang a Playboy centerfold in the locker room. Yeah, we got that. But you got to move beyond that. Okay. Oh, you can't watch, a soft porn movie in the lounge. Yeah, we got that. But your mind has to move beyond that and start thinking electronics, podcast, videos, Instagram reels, stuff like that. Okay. Because that suffices as display of offensive material. Now, let's go to how you notify. Remember, I told you in the class, if you've ever heard me teach before, when you highlight, if everything's important, nothing's important. So just highlight member concerned, strongly encouraged to file complaint one of 2 ways. And John even enumerated them for you there. 1, 2, file a complaint to EEO direct, right? And what are they telling you here? If you're the person who's offended and you saw it, get it to EEO any way you can. They're giving you phone, email, fax, right? George just made fun of that. Nobody faxed it. In writing, in person, send a smoke signal. They really don't care. They're just saying, get it to them, okay? After hours, EEO receives the voicemail or whatever, the email, and they'll call you back the next day. Or you could file with your CO supervisor, your uniform, your civilian manager, or EEO liaison. Remember that a EEO liaison is almost never a boss. There's no specific prohibition against the EO being a liaison being a boss, but they really don't want you to do it. They want a member of the command, detective or lateral rank police officer, right? So now when you could file with your CO, supervisor, uniform, whatever, your civilian manager. Supervisor is a mandated reporter. So let's look at some of the rules here, because it's not just enough to read it. I want you to envision it as a, let's say, a scenario. Everything is scenario based. And how are they going to come at you? So let's just read it chapter and verse, and then we'll talk about it. So upon observing or becoming aware of offensive material, you will report it ASAP. So stop right there. Somebody does not have to come and tell you, hey, man, this person's listening to a racist podcast or watching a video about sex. It could be something that you observe. Even if nobody reports it and you observe it, you're still on the hook to report it. Okay? Business hours, phone EEO. Now, you'll notice when it comes to the supervisor, email, smoke signals, nope, pick up the phone. EEO, you're a boss, you're a mandated reporter, pick up the phone. You're a boss, you need to notify EEO, pick up the phone, pick up the phone. Pick up the phone 100 times. They're telling you call EEO. Business hours Monday through Friday, which for them is 8 to 8, right? 8 to 6, or the next business day, and be guided by EEO directions. Now I'm going to come back to that in a minute because I want to tell you something else. Off hours, leave a message and be guided by information received from EEO. Photograph it and take immediate steps to recover or remove. Now let's just look at those two things right there. The purpose of notifying EEO about display of offensive material is so that they can investigate it. So they're telling you if it's during business hours, which is 8 to 6, it's the next step. Look at the next step. Says be guided by them. That means don't do anything until you talk to them, right? Because if it's, somebody took a Sharpie and drew a jollycock in the bathroom or hanging something up, right? This says be guided by them. They might say, hold on a minute. This is the most important thing ever, right? They're going to jump in their car. They're going to come up with their little pink siren and, a little pink light and their, British siren, the one that goes high-low. Can you imagine them hauling ass up from 1PP with their pink light and their British siren, right? They're going to come up and investigate it, close off the bathroom, right? Now, they may want to conduct an investigation. That's the point. Now, go to the next one where it says off hours. Off hours, what does it say? Leave message, take immediate steps to remove it, okay, or cover it. Now, what the problem here is there is a specific lack of definition about what take care of it means. And remember that this is going to come to you in a scenario. So it might be you sending a cop into the garage to get paint and painting over the wall, right? Is that taking care of it? Yeah. Does it say that? Chapter and verse? No, it doesn't. Take care of it. Take care of it means take care of it. If you don't have paint, there's no way to do it, and there's a big graffiti in the bathroom, close the bathroom, put a barrier in front of it, say the bathroom's closed. So we can go on and on for half an hour like this. It doesn't say what that means to immediately take care of it. It just says take care of it. Now, if it's a poster or something you could rip down, then it says safeguard if possible, voucher as investigatory evidence, right? Make a command log entry. Now, George is going to go over in EEO. You'll notice that the entire EEO procedure, no command log entry. That is not the case with offensive material. You are making a command log entry. So instead of my interjecting, let's look at the rules, okay? Business hours, call them, be guided by them. Off hours, call them, leave a message, take immediate steps to fix it. Whatever that means, fix it. Okay, offensive material, if you could take it down, safeguard it, voucher it as investigatory, okay? Make a command log entry and do not describe the specific thing that it is. Just write in the command log. This is a joke in class. I make a joke over this. Don't write exactly what it is. If it's that offensive, you don't want that in the command log. Just write, offensive material removed, naked picture, whatever. Don't describe exactly what it is, okay? Make a command log entry, notify the CO. Now, here's your report. Prepare a confidential 49 direct to the CO of EEO within 5 business days. Okay, photo with the case number on it that you get from them, photo the offensive material, and make a copy of the voucher. Now, when you go to the next page, this is really what I wanted to talk about here, because now that we're studying for the CAMS exam, there's an additional step for CO. Now, I remember back when you were studying for sergeant lieutenant, that was the end of the procedure. Now it's not. Now it's not the end of the procedure. Commanding officer, inform members of command about display, that it violates department policy and it will not be tolerated. That's right. You're going to get in front of the roll calls and you're going to say, look, the other day something was hanging in the bathroom, or the other day I was walking by, somebody was listening to this podcast about sex. Everybody heard it. Okay, it's offensive. Don't do that. So that's what that means, people. You're going to get up in front of roll call and tell them, hey, man, this happened. Don't do that. It's not appropriate. You're going to confer with EEO to determine the appropriate follow-up or investigatory action. Notify EEO promptly by telephone the results of what you did. Hey, this thing was hanging in the bathroom. Somebody took a Sharpie and jollycocked the bathroom wall. Whatever the case is, you're going to call them and say, okay, listen, this is what happened. This is what I did about it. Now, the commanding officer or manager, do a report on type letterhead, forward confidential 49 within 5 business days, direct to the CO of EO with the case number, the results of your investigation, steps taken to address the matter, and steps taken to preclude reoccurrence. Now, this is where, way back when you were studying for sergeant and lieutenant, you didn't have to worry about this. Go back to the page before. You'll notice that the supervisor who makes all the initial calls is doing a confidential 49 within 5 business days. Go to the CO step, okay? Within 5 business days, you're doing, as the captain, you're doing another one and you're saying, hey, man, this is the case number. This is what I did. This is what the investigation was. And here's what I'm doing to make sure that doesn't happen again. So this is the first time you've come across this as you're studying for captain. It's not just the 49 within 5 business days. Now it's an additional one after you address the troops and you investigate it and you fix it. And now you have another 49 as the captain. Now, let's go to 332.03 transgender. I don't want to belabor the issue here, but I want to talk to you about language. Look at the language that they're talking about here. In the first place, if you're the MOS who's transitioning, you have responsibility. And your responsibility is to request a meeting with the CO or representative from EEO. Then the person who's doing it has to comply with 304.16, which is updating their personal information on the NYPD internet, right? Notify CO and or OEEO of compliance issues. So if it's not working out for you, people are not helping you out doing it, right? Now, this is really what I want to get to, and then I'm going to be out. I'm going to give it back to George because I don't want to spend too much time on this. Where it says commanding officer, representative, look at the language here. It says meet, discuss, ask them, do they want to inform coworkers? Ask them, do they want a new ID? Ask them what their gender expression is going to be. Ask them what bathroom they want to use. This is all very touchy-feely language, pardon the pun. But you're not saying do this, do this, do this. And what you're really doing is getting together, like, hey, how do you feel? What name do you want to go by? What are your pronouns? What locker room are you most comfortable using? Remember that because of Mayor's Executive Order 16, they're allowed to use whatever bathroom or locker room they want, okay? But look at the language here. Ask them, do they want a new ID card and all this stuff. So you can read that down by yourself. But what I want to get to is at the bottom of the page, you do have to make notifications. So if you remember nothing else out of this procedure, just skim read it, right? It's their responsibility to update their personal information on the internet. So remember that. And you're going to check with them. They're like, hey, Roberta, whatever. Did you update your personal information on the internet? As the CO, you have to make sure they do that. Now, here is your list of notifications, okay? I did this acronym. It's LEAPS, Larry, Eddie, Adam, Peter, Sam, okay? LEAPS, right? Who are you notifying? It's the last bullet. The LGBTQIA plus outreach unit, employee assistance, any other MOS, not always, only if it's deemed appropriate, and that is horribly cryptic. They don't really tell you what that means. You're the CO. Do you want me to notify the chaplain unit? Do you want me to notify, the Desi Association, the Columbia? Like, it doesn't really say who. It just says the CO notify any other appropriate MOS, okay? And then personnel, and then the immediate supervisor. Now, I realize when we study for this, we're always that our head is in cop all the time. But what happens if a sergeant transitions? What happens if a lieutenant transitions? If a cop transitions, it's their immediate supervisor. But what happens if a sergeant transitions? It's their lieutenant. What happens if a lieutenant transitions? It's their XO, let's say. So whatever the case is, I know you already know this, but I'm just trying to get you to open up your mind about what it could be. It's not always a cop, right? I used to be a female. When I transitioned, I started by growing a mustache so I can honor my mother, my Italian mother, who also has a mustache like mine. My mother's mustache is heavier than mine, actually. You know, with the Italians, there's a lot of hair everywhere. And so I grew a mustache to honor my mother, who also has one. So I don't want to belabor the issue. I'm going to give it back to George now, but just skim read transgender. And if nothing else, if you remember nothing else, remember the list of people that you notify. I don't know if they're going to ask you this. Nobody really knows, but it would suck to lose a point. Just like, okay, this person came in and transition. They informed you everything's going great. This could be the whole question. Everything's going great. You're a great captain. You're making it great for them. Oh, by the way, who do you notify? And you're going to be like, fuck, man, I should have studied that. It's a basic list, LEAPS. Okay. All they got to do is move out when maybe they put in the department advocate, maybe they put in, I don't know, right? But either way, it's a basic list. Okay, so that's going to be it for me. I'm going to give it back to George, who's going to start with employment discrimination and EEO. This has been on one question on the last two captains exams. So you're getting a question on EEO. Okay, so you might as well learn it. And George, you take it over from here.
Got it. Ralph, great job. And your mustache looks great, by the way. All right. So we are going to start on page 1 with 33201 employment discrimination. So Ralph just covered an EEO procedure dealing with offensive material. Now I want you to have in your head, there's big differences in the procedure I'm going to cover now. It's supposed to be confidential, so there's no notifying CO. There's going to be no command log entry. In the procedure Ralph covered, when you have whatever it is, the poster in the locker room, or if it's electronic thing, it's not a fucking secret. So we all going to make a command log entry, and we all going to make notifications, all right? So get those two different points down. This one here is confidential. So let's start at the top, okay? We all know what OEEO stands for, right? The Office of Equal Employment Opportunity. This procedure covers employment discrimination, sexual harassment, and/or retaliation. What is employment discrimination? It includes also discrimination against applicants, people waiting to come on the job, all right? Sexual harassment includes applicants as well, and also applies to contractors, vendors, visitors in the workplace. So if the job hired some crew to come and paint a command, and they start making unwanted sexual advances or whatever, something that fits in here, this procedure kicks in, even though those people are not on the job, right? So the procedure itself, the member concerned files in one of two ways. You file a complaint with EEO by phone, email, in writing, or in person. After hours, weekends, OEO receives a voicemail, email, calls you back the next business day. You can also call or write anonymously to file a complaint or discuss EEO matters. Now compare that to Ralph's. You can't call anonymously, all right? And you remember, that shit is not a secret. It's out in the open. Everybody knows of what just took place. Here, you can do it anonymously. OEO investigator can counsel and follow up. The member needs to be understood that cooperation of complainants and witnesses may be needed to rectify or address the problem. No, you have to notify. This is the second way. You can notify a mandated reporter. So first way is to go to OEO, however you want to do, phone, writing, blah, blah, blah. Second way is you notify a mandated reporter. And who is that? A uniform or civilian supervisor. So the PRAA, the principal, would kick in here, right? Managers, if they give you a managerial title, they are mandated reporter. And EEO liaisons. And Ralph touched on this. EEO liaisons, first off, they have to volunteer, and generally they are non-supervisors. They are recommended by the CO, but EEO is the one who approves these liaisons. So you could go to a cop if they're a liaison, and they have no choice. They have to report it, right? Now, the mandated reporter's duties and responsibilities. Immediately, that word is another killer word, I think, all right? Immediately, you will notify OEO, okay? If off hours, what are you going to do? So there's a lot, not a lot, but quite a few times in the patrol guide, admin guide, where they list hours of units. Definitely know this, all right? What's the hours that EEO operates according to this? 08 by 1800. If it's any other time, all right, 18 by 0800 or on the weekends, what are you doing? You're leaving a voicemail with the contact number. They will call you back, or you can email them at, I don't think you need to know the email address, but it's eeocomplaints@nypd.org. Now, you're going to get, when you speak to somebody at OEO, you're going to get either a case number or an inquiry number, and you're going to get the name, obviously, of the investigator you confirm with. If it gets a case number, this is a great point for a test question. If it gets a case number, now you, mandated reporter, has to forward a confidential report to OEO direct within 5 business days. Watch the word direct. They don't switch that like a little stupid trick to, they switch it up to say through channels. That would make the statement wrong on test day, right? And obviously it's in bold, 5 business days. Don't let them switch it to working days, all right? And that would be wrong on test day, okay? 5 business days. So that's if it gets a case number. If it gets an inquiry number, you don't have to worry about the 49. You'll be guided by the information received from OEO. If, as the mandated reporter, the allegation is against yourself, what do? You immediately notify OEO on yourself, all right? And to preserve confidentiality, do not notify other members of the command. Improper notifications may result in discipline. If you fail to report as required or fail to take action as directed by OEO, you can be the subject to discipline. Next up, CO manager duties. You're studying for captain, all right? Here you go. OEO will notify if and when appropriate. They will address the matter as directed by you will address the matter as directed by and under guidance of OEO. You will do a 49. Look what it says. If directed, all right? Prepare a confidential report to OEO direct. So at least they're keeping the way the 49 gets forwarded. It's direct. It's not through channels, all right? You're going to refer to the OEO case number. You're going to report what corrective action was taken to address the complaint. You're going to describe any steps taken to preclude reoccurrence. Take all reasonable steps to prevent any MOS from further discrimination or harassment or retaliation. Now, the complainant, when it comes to meeting with the OEO investigator, upon receiving complaint, OEO investigator will attempt to contact and interview the complainant and advise the meeting could be at OEO or an agreed discrete location. You're allowed to bring a representative of choice. Next page. Regarding the time of the meeting, it could be before, during, or after work. If during non-working hours, the complainant does not have to notify a supervisor. If during work hours, now we can have a lieutenant in the mix in this procedure, so pay attention, right? OEO investigator makes a confidential notification to who? ICO or assistant ICO, or XO or CO, or other supervisor not involved. And that boss cannot unreasonably deny permission to attend the meeting. Appearance at OEO must not be documented on any official department record. Remember, I said this procedure is supposed to be kept confidential, unlike offensive material procedure. Now, you're going to get options given to the complainant by EEO. And if you ever been the subject of an OEO, this is actually how it goes down. I was the subject of an OEO, which turned out to be completely false. It was a fat female in PSA 5 who was jealous and didn't like that I didn't give her attention for some reason. So she dropped an OEO on me, saying all kinds of shit, and they interviewed every other female in PSA 5, and guess what? Exonerated. So take that for dropping an OEO, all right? It went nowhere. So these are the options that will happen, all right? EO will investigate. That's one option. Mediation by a neutral mediation service. Referred to health and wellness or other personnel, as this is not an OEO issue, to be filed with an outside agency. So if the investigation is to be conducted by OEO, what's going to happen? They're going to notify the respondent via email the nature of the allegation when necessary. They're going to remind the respondent that employment discrimination, sexual harassment, and or retaliation will not be tolerated and may be disciplined. notifies both the respondent and complainant in writing of the outcome and recommended findings. And other option you have is mediation. That's to dispute the resolution, no formal investigation. It's voluntary, and it's non-adversarial. If the parties cannot agree, it goes back to OEO. And if a resolution is reached, no entry on CPI of the respondent. Here we go with the little box that is found at the end of the procedure. By the way, the procedure in the admin guide is 13 pages long. This is at the end in the admin guide. Our lesson plan, we break this procedure down to 4 pages. We cut out all the bullshit and fluff you don't need to know. Again, this is why we are who we are, and we are the best in the business, because we give you the stuff that you only need. This time frame and who you can file with was actually asked on a prior exam. It was a Vucinage special, and he confused the shit out of a lot of people with these time frames, all right? So you can file, it says, with NYPD's OEO within 1 year from the last occurrence. The time limit does not limit the department's authority to discipline. This does not prevent you from filing with other agencies as listed below. That's your first option of where you can file. Next up, you can file this EEO with the New York City Commission on Human Rights within 1 year of the last occurrence for employment discrimination, within 3 years of the last occurrence for sexual harassment. The New York State, you also can file with the New York State Division of Human Rights within 1 year of the last occurrence for employment discrimination. If a civil action is filed first, you cannot file. Or within 3 years of the last occurrence for sexual harassment. And your last place that you can file with is the United States EEOC, all right? You're going federal with this. 300 days regardless of any prior filing with another agency. Next page lists all the different protected class, okay? First, it gives you the definitions of what employment discrimination is, what harassment, hostile work environment is. They're not going to trip you up on that, all right? Then it talks about extension of the workplace. So, being a member of a service, you are protected from employment discrimination, sexual harassment, even at an extension of the workplace, which includes off-site department-sanctioned social functions and off-duty conduct that impacts the workplace. It includes phone calls, texts, emails, social media. Yes, it does apply to off-site department-sanctioned social functions. Real story. At the time, my wife, we were boyfriend, girlfriend, was at a Christmas party, department-sanctioned function, and her CO was blatantly hitting on her, staring at her boobs, making comments. That is sexual harassment, all right? At the time, she was my wife. I was on the job, so when I was told about it, there's nothing I really could do, because if I was to get into an altercation, I'm going to wind up getting jammed up. So she filed an OEO, and what happened? The perverted CO, fat bastard, got transferred, and my girlfriend got paid, and guess what? I made her my wife, so I got paid as well. True story, this does apply to off-site, as long as it's department sanctioned. Now, with the protected class of people, most of this is very easy. There's a few that I just want to highlight. If you go down a few bullets, consumer credit history, including bankrupt judgment. So if you have a shitty credit or you went bankrupt and you're applying to get into narcotics, and in the stem of the question, they're like, nah, this guy or girl has bad credit, they have financial problems. In narcotics, we're going to be dealing with a lot of money. They may steal some of the money to offset some of the bills. That is employment discrimination, no good, all right? They used one on a prior exam, military. One of the best cops in the command, active, no CCRBs, wanted to get into a specialty unit, but he was in the military. And it was either the sergeant or the SOL said, nah, let's not pick him up, because what happens once a month? They have to go away for the weekend, and we're going to lose them. That is employment discrimination. Most of this, you're not going to trip up with the protected class. All right, they added some new ones in there: height, weight. See, you can't pick up. You can't say I'm not picking this person up because they're too short or they're overweight. They can't run and catch somebody, which is probably half the job. It's a shame. All right, but that's employment discrimination. Let's go to last page of this material, and then we're going to take our first break just like we would do at class, and it will be a 10-minute break. So prohibited conduct, sexual harassment. There are two types, all right? Hostile work environment and quid pro quo. This can occur outside the workplace as well. What's a hostile work environment? Unreasonably interfere with work performance or create an intimidating, hostile, or offensive work environment. Unwanted verbal or physical advances, sexually explicit, derogatory, discriminatory remarks. Key word, unwanted. So every morning when I went to work and I would give this beautiful girl in the command a hug, and she would hug me back because I knew it was wanted, does not apply here. It has to be unwanted, all right? Posters, calendars, graffiti, etc., gestures, jokes, pranks, comments, touching, pinching, grabbing, kissing, hugging, bullying, yelling, name-calling, intentional misuse of pronouns. Now, that is fairly new, all right? So I'd be careful of that. Asking the employee to take on traditionally gendered roles, or offensive, objectionable to the recipient and cause discomfort or humiliation. What's quid pro quo? Basically, you want overtime, you got to please me sexually. Something like that, right? Person of authority trades sex favors for something work-related. You could offer something better or threaten worse working conditions or opportunities. Retaliation for protective activity includes not just reporters, but supporters, coercion, threats, reprimands, suspensions, demotions, terminations, injury to reputation, threats outside of work hours. Reasonable accommodations, denial of, falls into this procedure, all right? Reasonable adjustment for employees to perform essential functions with benefits and privileges of the job. The accommodation cannot create an undue hardship for the department. Otherwise, denial of reasonable accommodation based on protected status is prohibited. The department is required to engage in cooperative dialogue. Remember, this is confidential. The box right there talks about it, all right? OEO liaisons, supervisors, managers will treat each complaint confidentially. Complainants should make every effort to maintain confidentiality. Witnesses and respondents shall not discuss open or closed cases except with union or legal reps. False allegations. A complaint made in good faith, you had the right intention, is not considered a false accusation. What may be grounds for discipline is knowingly making a false accusation, like that person in PSA 5 did to me, all right? Or providing false information during an investigation. The member must report to OEO and not investigate such allegations or observations, and mandated reporters do not make entries in any official department record. Remember, this is kept confidential. Before we break, we're going to break for 10 minutes, all right? For those that are not in our free sergeant or lieutenant course, sign up, because if you sign up, you have access to everything we did for the last year, our bi-weekly videos and lesson plans. We don't take it down. It's all there for you. And then once we start our real sergeant's course, which will be announced coming up, not in this video, but it's coming, all right? You will get 10% off. Last thing I want to say is any sergeants out there who are on the lieutenant's list and you're saying to yourself, I don't know if I'm going to make it in time to get promoted captain, so I'm not going to study. I mean, if you're way off, hundreds away, you're at the end of the list, obviously, no. But if you are somewhat close, you gotta do it. You gotta do it, because 5 months from now or 4 months from now, or even 3, when you realize you're going to get promoted lieutenant and you can take the captain exam, and now you have a limited amount of time to study 2 books, you are going to drive yourself crazy. We believe it's better to be ready than not to be ready, all right? Take it. Don't wait. To put your mind at ease, if you sign up for our captain's course and you don't make it in time to take it because of your list number, not because you got jammed up or you were shooting fucking raccoons or something like that, all right? Because of your list number and you don't make the captain exam, we will make a record and we will comp you for our next captain course. All right, it is about 10:26-ish. We're going to resume in 10 minutes, like 10:35-ish, all right? So I'm going to stop the Instagram live and we're going to stop the YouTube for now. And we'll see you in 10 minutes where we will continue with off-duty employment. And great time. Let's go. Let's go. Can you hear me from there? Ooh, I was getting on. I was getting on. You know, I was something back. And you there? And hello. We live again? Ralph, you can hear me?
Yeah, I can hear.
Right. All right, I'm going to set up the Instagram live again for the social media viewers, and we're going to rock and roll with off-duty employment.
What page is that?
8. All right, we are back. We are going to resume with off-duty employment, which is going to be on page 8. Off-duty employment. Last, out of 5 exams, 6 questions. Very highly testable procedure, all right? You have all different ranks looking to work off-duty employment for whatever reason, obviously financial. So it's very, very testable. Definitely, and there's a lot of easy rules you have to get down, but we're going to point out, like we do, the tips and the tricks where they can hit you up, all right? So first up, start with a little box on the right. Rule you got to get down right off the bat. You cannot work more than 20 hours per week, only within these two different exceptions. If you're on vacation, work your ass off, or you're on terminal leave, work your ass off, all right? Otherwise, the 20 hours applies to you. So the UMOS looking to work off-duty employment, whoever you are, all right? Prepare your off-duty employment application. Describe your functions to be performed in the space captioned. Describe specific duties and responsibilities. Now, a lot of times, what I like to do when I was studying, I would print out these forms. Like in today's lesson, we're going to talk about CCRB, and we actually have it in the lesson plan. I would print out the forms, and then as I'm studying the material, I would just write notes on the forms, because then it's going to stick in your head even more. That's one suggestion I have. What I like to enter number of hours per week. You cannot enter varies. If employed by a corporation, enter name of the president of the corporation. Enter the function of corporation in the box. Describe the type of business. And right there, I would go to the form and I would write, like when I was active, instructor at the key. Okay. If the applicant is an officer of corporation, enter name and address of corporation in space caption outside employer. And you cannot use the term self-employed. And what do? You deliver all copies to the CO. So something to remember right here, with your off-duty employment paperwork, it's always going to the CO, except for one time when you can have it delivered somewhere else. And I'm not going to say it yet until we get to that part of the procedure. Hopefully you read this in advance and you know what that one time is to expedite. But other than that, you fill it out and you give it to your CO, all right? UMOS may engage in off-duty employment. Great test question right here. Without prior approval, 2 times. During suspension, without pay. Don't let them say you're suspended with pay. Because sergeants, when you get suspended, and lieutenants, you get suspended with pay until the next Sunday. So watch out for that. Suspension without pay. You don't need nobody's permission. Or while on continuous vacation terminal after filing for retirement. Definition of ownership interest. What is that? You have an interest in a firm held by MOS or your spouse or domestic partner or unemancipated child when that person exercises managerial control or responsibility over the firm. All right, CO, you're going to get the paperwork from whoever it is, PO, detective, sergeant, lieutenant, right? Interview the applicant. Determine if employment is within department guidelines. Ensure the MOS understands the guidelines, and there's going to be a lot of guidelines we're going to go through in a few minutes. Confer with the applicant's immediate supervisor. Great test question right here, especially for a captain's exam. If the person is on modified, who are you calling? The office of the first dep to see if there's reason that exists for disapproval, and you enter the results on the application. That's easily changed to another person you would call. IB, I mean, you can make so many things up. If they're modified, you are calling the first dep's office. If the application is for security-related field, the CO is going to forward to the borough CO for recommendation and signature. You will enter recommendation, sign and forward all applications approved or disapproved or renewals, which we'll talk about in a minute, to who? ERS. In case you don't know who that is, what that stands for, Employee Resource Section. Now you have to monitor on-duty performance, and you will advise the member that approval may be revoked if disciplined or chronic sick. Don't let them say only if chronic B. Chronic A kicks in here, all right? And if off-duty employment interferes with members' responsibility to the department, you can recommend revocation. Re-examine any transferred or temporarily assigned MOS for corruption hazards or conflict of interest. Approve, disapprove renewals, termination, you're going to forward it to ERS like we said. And you will inquire the employee inquiry report via the CPR system for status of the application and advise MOS that disapproved applications may be appealed. Who do they appeal to? Don't let them fool you and say, appeal to by doing a 49 to your CO. Think about it. No, it's going to ERS. Who's the one denying it? Your fucking CO. So why would you appeal to him? You appeal to ERS, okay? Now, once it gets approved and it comes back to the command from ERS, the CO will advise the approved MOS of the guidelines, prohibitions, and carry rules outside New York State. Instruct MOS applying for a watch guard license of the guidelines. So basically, a watch guard license is you are going to hire bouncers or security guards to work for your firm in whatever locations, right? Direct the member to report to ERS to prepare an affidavit and comply with instructions. Here, now he's throwing a lieutenant in the mix. Direct ICO to ensure the MOS does not obtain OT for off-duty employment arrest. ICO will audit OT reports and advise the CO of findings. Indicate on the application if they're applying for a Class 1 federal firearm license, if applicable. Forward copy of the federal and state firearm license and applications for licenses to, where do you think it's going? CO of the range, the real name is Firearm Tactics Section, and record the license number on the Force Record 10 card. Yes, don't fall for this. That sounds like a bullshit duty you would push off to the fucking civilian who can't stay awake or is upstairs watching fucking Wendy Williams. Now, I know I just dated myself. I don't even know. I got to look up a new talk show. It's the CO's duty, all right, to get the 10 card and make notation. All right, UMOS, after you were approved, if there's any change in status of employment, you will submit a new application, such as duties or locations. So me, if I was active and I'm teaching for the key, my application said instructor for the key. I'm teaching in Nassau counties on Monday from 10 to 12:30. And now Ralph bangs in for Tuesday coverage in the Bronx technically, I would have to submit a new application indicating I'm going to teach in the Bronx. All right. That's what you're supposed to do on test day. Okay. After 12 months, renewal applications, you got to submit 10 days prior to expiration. You got two numbers right in that one bullet. Don't let them swap 10 and 12 and reverse it. Easy test question right there. And if disapproved, we already said you're going to do a report on type letterhead requesting review. And who's it going to? CO of ERS. Now, here are some of the guidelines. There's going to be some guidelines. There's going to be some hard no's when it comes to working off-duty employment. So you have to work outside your regular work hours. I can't even believe this is fucking in writing. Like, how could you be on NYPD time, you're working a 7 by 1540 or whatever it is, and you think you could work your second job? It's here because some fool did it. All right. So now it's in writing. No more than 20 hours a week. Obviously, we covered the exceptions on that. You cannot work within 3 hours of your tour, and it cannot interfere or conflict with your regular duties. You must be approved prior to starting or changing the job, and for each extra job or change for the same employer. An excessive sick or employment, if it impairs your work with the NYPD, it can be revoked. If you're seeking part-time employment in another city agency or a government agency, you have to get approval, right? If it's a city employment, you're going to prepare certification of compatibility for dual employment for city mayoral agencies. If it's for a government agency, you're going to prepare a certification of compatibility for dual employment. The above forms are available at Human Resources Division, which falls under ERS, who will process upon completion. The one thing you cannot do is work for a foreign government. Now, here we go with some general regulations. And these we already covered like in week 2, general regs, but this should be a no-brainer. Don't use department letterhead, personnel, equipment, supply, other department resources. So if I was still active, I can't print out the lesson plan that I have in front of me on a job printer. I did that for at least fucking 30,000 pages. Come get me now. It's over like 15 years I'm retired. I would love for you to come knocking on my door. 30,000 pages of job paperwork, job printer, ink toner, you name it, studying on job time. I got over and no regrets.
Me too.
You too, Ralph. I'm sure you did, all right? So that's an easy one. You can't create a prohibited subordinate superior financial relationship. All right, we kind of covered this when you're selling Girl Scout cookies. This is an easy one. Now, when it comes to business with the city, no position in a firm doing business with the city, period. I'm not even going to read the example. If they hit you on test day, you read the example on your own. Business with the city, no good, all right? And you may not accept a valuable gift from any person or firm having business dealings with the city. When you see the city involved, no good. The city charter prohibits members from engaging in any business, transaction, or private employment which is in conflict with the proper discharge of their official duties. That's an easy statement. You cannot use or attempt to use your position with the NYPD to obtain any financial gain or benefit, including employment for themselves or any other person associated with them. Next one, could trip up some people when it comes to alcohol. What are you allowed to do, obviously, when it comes to handling alcohol? It says you cannot have a position or be in a business that manufactures, sells, or recommends alcoholic beverages. The exception is, all right, you can be in a premise licensed to sell beer at retail for off-premise consumption. So you could work in a bodega or a supermarket or whatever, a shop, right? That's an easy one. You're not going to get that wrong. When it comes to racehorses, racehorse industry, you can't have anything to do with that. What about books or articles? We have a lot of MOS who write books. Whether they follow rules or not, I don't know, but this is what it says, right? You may write a book or article on your own time as long as you don't violate 212.76, which we're going to cover weeks down the road, all right? And if the member is being paid, you must submit an off-duty employment application. Easy, no crazy rules there, all right? Your own time and get approval. What about consulting for a movie or TV's unit? What does it say? You cannot sell exclusive rights from involvement in a particular incident. and you need written approval from the CO of the Chief of Patrol's MTV unit. If there's a conflict of interest which arises as per the city charter, the member may proceed in limited circumstances with written approval from who? Easy test question, all right? Police commissioner, and there's the killer word. One of them that I mentioned earlier. Don't let them say or. We need two. PC and reviewed by conflict of interest board. You have any questions, you're going to refer to Deputy Commissioner of Legal Matters. Next page. This is where they go most of the time. The hard no's you can never do. And then we have some no's with exceptions. Get these rules down. It hasn't changed probably since you studied for your sergeant or lieutenant exam, right? Gonna breeze through them. Very easy. You cannot work if it involves the guarding of a licensed premise. You can't be a bouncer. I was. They got me on that. You got me for 20 days, but I got you way, way fucking tenfold, all right? Can't bounce, no good, okay? You cannot be a process server. Pay attention anywhere, because when it comes to locksmith, we're going to talk about that in a minute, there's different rules. You cannot operate or have a financial interest in arcade, video, or pinball games. We already talked about horses, right? Participation in pari-mutuel racing as a rider, owner, driver, or trainer of a horse, no good. Burglar alarms, security systems. You can't install, repair, or consult burglar alarm security systems. After that, I would write in anywhere, because they're going to fool you with locksmith, which is a little different, okay? Can't have investigative duties or secure a New York State investigator's license. You can't guard a diplomat themselves or their premise. You can't work in a labor union if it requires you to be an officer, organizer, or hold a position in an employee organization. Next one, PPO. What's the rules for that? If you're a PPO with less than 1 year on the job and you have not finished the academy, you cannot work. So if you're a PPO, let's say with 9 months on the job and you are out at your command, you could work, all right? There's 3 prongs that have to be met. PPO, less than 1 year, and you have not finished the academy, all right? If you didn't finish the academy on time, why the fuck are we going to let you work a second job, all right? Watch out for that. You can't work if it requires the uniform or shield to be worn or used in any manner except paid detail. Can't work for somebody who has a criminal arrest record, and the key word is knowingly have a criminal arrest record, all right? Or involves employment by a foreign government, which we kind of touched on earlier. Now, the next prohibitions or the rules that are not allowed have exceptions. So it starts off by saying you can't work in a premise licensed by SLA pursuant to the ABC law. He is the exception. Employment is allowed in a premise licensed to sell alcohol as long as the alcohol is not handled by the member. So SLA, let's just say it's a bar or a restaurant. You can't have, you can work there as long as you're not handling alcohol. So you could be whatever they're called, the maitre d'. You walk in and they sit you down. Yeah, it's licensed by the SLA to serve alcohol, but all you're doing is seating the guests when they come in, okay? Next one's an easy rule. Employment by UMOS in their assigned precinct is no good except if your command jurisdiction encompasses more than one precinct. So if you're an SRG or narco or something like that, yes, you can work in that command then. What about secondhand dealer? All right, the only thing you can sell secondhand are used cars. That's it. No other secondhand dealer, all right? The 20-hour a week cannot exceed, includes when you're on family medical leave, except we already said vacation or terminal. You cannot work for an organization that is licensed or inspected by the NYPD unless authorized. And you cannot work on matters that any city agency inspects, approves, or license unless authorized. Next page talks about security. We have a lot of guys and girls who do security-related off-duty employment. Payroll driver, cashier, check cashing, bodyguard, etc., okay? In most cases, you will not be entitled to legal representation. You will not be indemnified. It means you're going to have to handle the lawyer fees on your own. Members should ask if the employer has liability insurance to represent or indemnify. If you make an arrest, it's in the furtherance of the employer's interest. You're acting on their behalf, not on the NYPD's behalf, all right? You may not investigate crimes for employers, and you should be the complainant, not the AO. Court time is not to be performed on job time, and you will not get overtime. Application for security-related position, all right? It's submitted for each specific client, location, company of employment. You submit for each company and assignment location. And here is where it doesn't have to go to your CEO to get forward. You can personally deliver the application to ERS to expedite processing. In the beginning, with the paperwork, when you filled it out, you gave it to the CEO, who then sends it off. Here, if it's security related, you give it to him, he signs it, and you can have it hand delivered to expedite, okay? Attorney rules. When it comes to city agencies, easy to remember, no good, all right? You cannot represent private interest for compensation before any city agency. If it involves the city, you cannot appear anywhere on behalf of private interest in matters involving the city, no good. You cannot appear against interests of the city in litigation where the city or other government agency is a party. No good. You hear city? No good, all right? When it comes to negligent cases, slip and fall, you cannot represent the party in a negligent or criminal case in New York State courts within the 5 boroughs. Cannot accept referral fees for negligent criminal case pending in state courts in the 5 boroughs. Here, I think, is where they may go. You cannot be an attorney or counsel for a member in your assigned command, higher or lower ranking, it says. So, same rank, peer-to-peer is okay. You're a sergeant and you have a law degree and you want to represent another sergeant in your command, that is fine, because it says no good higher or lower ranking. And the Conflict of Interest Board has determined that a business or financial relationship exists when an attorney performs legal services, whether or not the attorney receives compensation. All right, the next page talks about being a firearms dealer and watch guard license. Look at that on your own. Never came up. Could it come up? Yes, it could, but take a look on your own. Let's go to page 15 for a second. So we're talking about 33215 grievance procedure, all right? On page 15, we have to make a change. So your textbook was printed up weeks ago, in November before we started class, right? So obviously revision orders come out and the changes have to be made manually. In COPS, we make the change and we upload the new page, so you're good to go. But here, you got to make one handwritten change. So on page 15, where it says step 2 grievance, where the sub-bullet says grieve in writing, it should say grieve in writing to, cross out deputy commissioner. Now it should say grieve in writing to the CO office of labor relations within 5 working days. So deputy commissioner, now it should say CO office of. Now let's go to page 18. Paid detail. Normally, I would give a shit less about this procedure, but they recently changed it, and it was well known throughout the job pretty much what happened. I think it was commissioner went into, I don't know, I'm just going to make the store up. Let's just say Target, and there was a cop working off duty, and she questioned him regarding the body-worn camera, and basically he said, I don't have to have the body-worn camera. Well, guess what? Procedure changed. I don't remember exactly what he said, but there was an incident with the PC and procedure changed. So for that reason, we're going to cover this procedure, all right? Pay detail. UMOS below the rank of deputy chief who want to engage in off-duty employment with the paid detail unit. So this applies to who? Inspectors and below can work paid detail. Full birds, DIs, captains, everybody below. And there are people working paid detail, all right? You will prepare the paid detail enrollment application and participation agreement. You will deliver the completed application to your CO. Here is one of those times where you break the chain of the command. Definitely know when you break the chain of command. What do I mean by that? You have a cop doing something and he goes to the CO. Sergeant goes to the CO. When you're skipping a rank, all right? Exclusions. Next to, you cannot do paid detail. Chronic sick, category B. I would, if I'm testing, and it's not even a tricky question, I'm going to make that chronic sick category A. You can work paid detail, all right? Category B only. Level 2 or 3 monitoring. No paid detail. Those exclusions, definitely highly testable, right? Requirements to work paid detail. You must be full duty. No limitations on position. Restricted, limited, etc. You got to be full duty. And probationary POs must have at least 1 full year of service at the time of application. It includes time spent at the academy, executive members, captain and above. You never know, they may hit you with this, captain, right? Your application must be approved by the chief of personnel. So you're a captain and your shit is going up to a 3-star chief, Chief Benoit. All right, CO or chief of personnel if it's a captain who's applying, but for your test purposes, it's going to be CO. Review the application, determine if the member is eligible. Ascertain the applicant understands guidelines and general prohibitions as in the additional data. Confer with the applicant's immediate supervisor. Notify. Here is great test question, especially for the captains, right? Notify the applicant of your decision to approve or disapprove their application. And return approved applications to the requesting member and file disapproved applications in the requesting member's personnel folder. That's where I would go as well. I would mix that statement up with the chronic A or B, as in, one of these 4 choices, which one is good, which one is not good, all right? Approved, you're giving it back to the member. Disapproved, it's going in their personnel folder. UMOS, return via department mail or in person to the paid detail unit your approved application with the CO or chief of personnel signature, signed W-9 form. The W-9 must contain requesting member's social security number. Paid detail unit will keep the W-9 on file in case a particular vendor requests them. Another actor in the mix, ICO. Monthly time frame. All right, we covered this in, I think it was week 2 in ICO duties, but it comes up again. Monthly, you're going to access department intranet webpage to ascertain paid detail activities of individual members assigned to your command, including the times and locations. You're going to select an appropriate representative sample and compare to roll calls and overtime records to ensure there are no discrepancies, including the command overtime self-inspection program. Next actor who's involved in this, lieutenant, platoon commander. At the start of the tour, I love timeframes, access department's intranet webpage to ascertain active paid detail locations and times of assignments within the precinct. You're going to make a command log entry indicating results, including times of assignments, and you're going to print a reference copy of the paid detail assignment scheduled during your tour and attach it to the roll call. Here are some rules that come out of the additional data. Off-duty work in uniform is only for paid detail. We already said that in off-duty employment. UMOS are not authorized to work off-duty in uniform other than paid detail. The NYPD paid detail regs and guidelines. Members who fail to follow any of those rules or guidelines will be banned from returning to work for a specific vendor, suspended from eligibility, dropped from the program, face discipline by the job. You have to sign on and off duty when you work in paid detail. You're going to sign the NYPD paid detail attendance sheet and the vendor log sheet if kept by the vendor. And the vendor will provide your post location, meal, and break policy and inform you of any conditions that may require police attention. So now we're going to come up on the change here, right? That came about because of this revision order. And I'm going to tell you what the change when it comes to uniform equipment and personal appearance. You are to wear your patrol uniform of the day and adhere to the uniform equipment appearance rules in the patrol guide, all right? Next bullet, where it says no body worn camera, and then members performing paid detail, blah, blah, blah. Cross those 2 lines out. I'm going to tell you what to write in right now. So you could what we have in cops, so if you want to mimic cops, right after the bullet that says radio, just you have space there to write. So AG, this is what you're going to write, 332-22, which is this procedure right here. You don't have to write that part. Does not mention body-worn camera, BWC. So the procedure we are talking about right now does not mention the body-worn camera when it comes to paid detail. But now, write down this, 212-123, body-worn camera procedure. What does that say? This is what you need to write down. That says to activate the BWC when on paid detail and taking necessary police action. Very easy. This is what came about from the PC seeing a guy or girl regarding the camera. So this is typical, and this is what the job is doing nowadays. You make a change to a procedure, and you don't look to see if it affects other procedures. If any of you lieutenants are in mods out there, please email us. We want to help you make this book right and not have issues. So you just made a change to body-worn cameras affecting paid detail, but you don't fucking place it in the paid detail procedure. I don't get it. It's not that fucking difficult. You place it in a body-worn camera procedure, but not in the paid detail procedure. And you see, I'm getting heated because I'm fucking passionate about this. This is not fucking brain surgery here. Fix it. Make it right. We will help you. We're not looking to charge anybody. We will do it for free. Fix the fucking book right. When you come out with these revision orders, another thing you do, you come out with revision orders and you don't list all the procedures it affects, or you make a change to a procedure and you don't publish a revision order regarding the change. I don't get it. You just open up the fucking department manual, make a change, slip it in there like in the middle of a fucking midnight, and tell nobody about the change. What are you doing? Consult with us. John Monahan was the CEO of Mods for years. We will help you. All right? Please, please. Again, that's enough of my rant. Back to this change. So, again, write in. This procedure does not mention the body-worn camera, but 212-123 body-worn camera procedure says activate the body-worn camera when on paid detail and taking necessary police action. Next bullet, radio. You must have department radio on and turn to proper frequency. Digital activity log entry. What does it say? Commencement and conclusion of assignment. You're going to make an entry. Going on meal, you're going to make an entry. And taking police action, you're going to make an entry. So obviously you need your job phone for that. When you're making collars regarding working a paid detail, you are required to take proper police action and you must follow PG 20801 law of arrest. You're going to request a patrol supervisor for reason of occurrence to the scene. In general, paid detail members will not be assigned to process arrest unless directed by an on-duty NYPD supervisor or personally involved in the underlying incident. Arrest processing by a paid detail member will be completed on police overtime. Incidents which necessitate the response of the patrol supervisor require a notification to the paid detail unit. Next page. If you're injured while taking police action, you ought to notify the paid detail unit. If it's after hours, leave a detailed message. Line of duties, all right? The injury is not considered line of duty unless sustained while taking enforcement action. Line of duty status is not granted to members who are performing non-enforcement work or not following department guidelines. Will you be indemnified? New York City will represent any officer who is sued while working a paid detail, providing actions of the cop fall within the scope of Section 50K of the General Municipal Law, within the scope of their duty as a New York City police officer, and acting to further the interests of the municipality and not violating department rules or regs. Now, the paid detail card. You're going to enter on the card, last scheduled tour and next scheduled tour. At conclusion of assignment, you're going to present that paid detail card to a vendor rep for signature. The white. Now, when it comes to the colors, normally I don't care about the colors, all right, unless it's a super, super highly testable procedure. But because this procedure was changed and the PC was involved, I would know the colors. The white original must be signed by a designated supervisor of the member concerned. The blue, the second copy, retained by the vendor for payroll purposes. And the third copy, which is pink, the member will retain for their records. Pay detail card applies for all ranks. Executives now, captains and above that are doing paid detail, all right? It'll be captains, DIs, and inspectors, nobody else, okay? You'll prepare a weekly paid detail assignment report. Submit to the overhead command along with the executive weekly time record. You may lose eligibility in the paid detail program if you improperly prepare the paid detail card, or actions or omissions pose payment problems for the vendor. If you're going to go sick and you're scheduled for paid detail, you must notify the paid detail unit and the sick desk. After business hours, you're required to leave a detailed message with the paid detail unit. You get ordered overtime and you're scheduled for paid detail. Look what it says. No cancellations will be accepted for overtime notifications unless the notification is marked ordered and signed by a supervisor at the member's command. We're almost done with paid detail here, right? You need to cancel a paid detail appearance, all right, with less than 48 hours notice. What does it say? May only cancel a paid detail assignment with less than 48 hours notice for the following 3 occurrences. Again, list of 3, easy test question to write. Police-related emergency. You have a collar, court, detail, mandatory training. You can cancel. Sick report. You can cancel or a documented emergency. If canceling an assignment with less than 48 hours notice, you ought to notify the paid detail unit. If outside business hours, the member must leave a detailed message. When the office is closed, leave a voicemail and leave the following: date and time you're calling, tax number, specific job, paid detail number of the assignments being canceled. Your approval may be suspended or you may be removed from the program, it says, as determined by the CO of the paid detail unit. 4, failing to make a timely notification or failing to appear at a paid detail assignment without good cause. The paid detail unit supervisor will determine what documentation must be provided for cancellation, and you'll be removed from the paid detail eligibility list until documentation is received. General prohibitions. They love to test prohibitions anytime you see them in a procedure, all right? Evidence indicating paid detail employment impairs your ability to perform assigned police duty is cause for revocation of approval to engage in paid detail employment. Automatic deactivation. When you are promoted, it's over until you reapply, right? Transferred, it's over. Placed on monitoring, including level 1, it's over. Chronic sick, category B, it is over. Hours now, great test questions here. They could really confuse the shit out of you, okay? This applies to all ranks, and get this, even while you were on vacation, you got to follow these hour rules. You cannot work more than 20 hours per week. Not more, you can't work longer than 10 hours in duration. Not within 3 hours of the start of your regularly scheduled tour. Not within 1 hour of the conclusion of your regularly scheduled tour, and you may not request lost time in order to perform a paid detail assignment. A lot of rules right there, a lot of hours mentioned. If you're working and a vendor asks you to remain beyond your scheduled tour, you may do so if you wish. You are not obligated. You have to make an immediate notification to the paid detail unit. You cannot work within 3 hours of your regularly scheduled tour, and you cannot work beyond the monthly allocation of 80 hours. Lot of paid detail information. Next page starts out with meal. You're not authorized to take meal during the first or last hour and 1/2 of your tour, except if it's an emergency. If you're on extended leave and you're assigned to the MELD, members on leave, you are prohibited from participating in the paid detail program. Members of all ranks on pre-separation leave are permitted to participate in the paid detail program for no longer than 1 year from the date in which their separation leave begins. Paid detail assignments must be performed by the members who schedule the assignments. Under no circumstances may members switch a paid detail assignment or perform a paid detail assignment scheduled by another member. That's another great test question to ask. Failure to comply with the no mutual rule will result in immediate and indefinite suspension from paid detail program and department discipline. Paid detail assignments may only be performed while off duty. Common sense, all right? Department vehicles are not authorized to be used when on paid detail assignment. You're in uniform, you're off duty, but you cannot use a job car. It includes traveling to and from the vendor location. It applies to all MOS, including members in the rank of captain and above. So even captains, DIs, and inspectors cannot take the car while they're working approved paid detail. All members are prohibited from performing paid detail in the confines of your assigned command. You work in the 9th and you have a target, you cannot work paid detail in the 9th precinct. CO and XOs may not perform paid detail assignments simultaneously. We need one of you available in case of shit pops off in the command. ICOs and assistant ICOs may not perform paid detail assignments simultaneously. All right, we finished with the EEO part and employee rights and responsibilities. We're going to transition now, switch into discipline. We're going to take our last break. It is 11:15. Let's come back at 11:25 and bang out some important discipline procedures. IG Live, we're going to stop it and come back in 10 minutes. Ralphie, you on? Hey, you want? All right, welcome back to the last part of today's lesson. Actually, great day to be doing this remote. I'm just looking out my window here in my office, and the snow is just coming down. But you're still getting your shit done. Is what counts. All right, we're live again on Instagram to finish the rest of this lesson. Again, the discipline I'm going to be covering now, it applies to sergeant lieutenants and some captains, mainly sergeant lieutenant stuff you have to know in here. Very important stuff. So we're going to start on page 23 with 318.01 types of command disciplines and their penalties. All right. Sorry about that. I think I was muted. Good now. So we're starting on page 23, 318.01 types of CDs and penalties. Yes, three types of command disciplines: Schedule A's, Schedule B's, and Schedule C's. All right. The main ones you need to know about, obviously, are A's and B's. A's you can lose up to 5 days, B's up to 10 days, and C's up to 20 days. Okay. But the main ones are A's and B's. There are probably there are quite a few. There are quite a few A's. There are a handful of B's. So before I even get into it, I highly suggest for test day, you know your schedule B's. So when you get hit with the question with four choices, is this an A? Is this a B? Is this a C? If you know the B's, it has to be an A or it has to be charges. Know your schedule B's cold. And we have an acronym for you, FAL PRAP. We'll be hitting that in a minute. Okay. Those are the main things to know with your command discipline A, B's, and C's. So let's get right into it. Okay. So A and B command discipline, the COXO, we'll use that to address minor misconduct or rules or violations of the command level. C command discipline, again, you can lose up to 20, but most likely you're not going to deal with this on test day, possibly captain. So what does it say, all right? Department advocate will issue in lieu of charges and specs only issued and adjudicated by the advocate. Certain offenses, a C will be issued in lieu of charges. No significant aggravated. Am I muted or unmuted? I keep getting messages. Can you guys give me a thumbs up if you can hear me? Give me something. IG Live. Can you guys hear me? All right. You can hear me. All right. COXO. You're going to set the penalty within the established ranges. Hold on. Hold on. Do I have no sound? Technical difficulty here. I don't understand because I am. It's showing my mic working on my end here. As I'm talking, the mic is going up and down. It's not muted. Hello, hello. We're going to take a break and fix this technical issue here. This is the downside of live streaming, obviously. I need to know from YouTube if you guys can hear me, YouTube viewers. Send a message in the chat or something. Otherwise, I'm going to be talking for nothing here. Hello, hello. Ralph, if you're on, or IT, if you're on, just jump in and say if you can hear me. Somebody speak. Hello, hello, hello. 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 You can hear me now out there? Everybody, can you hear me? Hello. All right, I'm getting messages that you guys can hear me. So I'm going to continue again. You guys can hear me. I just got some text messages from lieutenants out there. Thank you for letting me know. All right. So we're at the beginning of 318.01. Okay. We just finished talking about the Schedule C command discipline. Not a big deal. The main thing I would know is it's handled by the advocate. You can lose up to 20 days. Let's talk about A's and B's. The COXO sets the penalty within the established ranges. 4 different types of penalties for your A's and B's. All right. For an A, you can lose up to 5 days. For a B, you can lose up to 10 days. That's the first type of penalty. What else? You could be 1, admonished verbally or in writing, a copy to be filed with the papers. Third type of penalty. You can have your assignment within the command change either for a fixed period or indefinitely. So you get a CD, you're an anti-crime or whatever they call it now, the khaki unit. If for a bullshit command discipline, the CO can throw you out of the unit for a week or forever. Next one is an if. It says they can revoke your permission to engage in outside employment for a fixed period not to exceed 30 days if the violation is related to the outside employment. So it has to be related to your off-duty employment, right? And the last one, they are going to hurt you where it counts. Money. They will restrict out-of-command assignments which pay portal to portal and overtime for a fixed period not to exceed 5 such assignments. So your Schedule A's, there are a bunch of them, right? I'm not going to go through them now. Schedule B's, you got to know, all right? So let's just go down 3 bullets. Loss of department property, we tell you, can be an A, a B, or charges. Mainly loss of department property, unless we're talking about a gun, is going to be charges. All right. Otherwise, loss of department property is going to be Schedule B, and we're going to go through those losses. With the following exceptions are Schedule A. So get these exceptions down. You lose your summons book, ID card, or job smartphone. It's a Schedule A. All of the losses to department property are a Schedule B, except when it comes to your gun. You're most likely going to get a B, C, D, or charges, but you don't have to worry about deciding that. Know the exceptions to losing department property that are A's. All right, again, it's summons, summons book, ID card, and your department issued smartphone. Okay. If we have a scenario with a lost firearm, bottom of the page says, when discipline is to be taken for the loss or failure to safeguard a firearm, a consultation with the advocate's office will be made to determine the appropriate disciplinary action. Next page. This is gold right here for you. Schedule Bs with an acronym. Know them cold. Like I said on test day, if it's not a Schedule B, because you're going to know them, it should be a Schedule A. Unless it's something fucking egregious, then it's going to be a C or charges, all right? So what are your Schedule Bs? The following losses. Loss of a shield, failure to safeguard prisoner. Let me stop you on that. Failure to safeguard a prisoner. Don't think the perp jumps out of the P-van or an RMP or runs out of a cell in the precinct down the street is the only way you get a Schedule B. Failure to safeguard can also happen this way on test day, so pay attention, all right? You're watching a prisoner in a hospital, and he's shackled 3 times, daisy chained to the bed. No way he's getting out. You need to take a shit. You get up, you leave, you don't tell nobody, nobody relieves you to go to the bathroom, and that prisoner is not being safeguarded. That is a Schedule B command discipline. Losing your activity log is a Schedule B. We're talking about the old blue books. That's a Schedule B, all right? But losing your phone is what? A Schedule A. Also, since we're talking about activity logs, omitted activity log entries is an ACD. What else is a Schedule B? Losing department property, you know the exceptions already. Summons book, ID card, department smartphone. Okay, those are your A's. When it comes to the radio, failing to respond to a radio run, Schedule B. Report the disposition promptly. So you finish the job and you ride around for 15 minutes because it's going to go into your meal, and you go, Central, show me going meal in the station house, and that job was a 93 Charlie, whatever the fuck it was. That is a Schedule B, all right? Or failing to acknowledge radio calls directed to your unit is a Schedule B. What else with the radio? Unauthorized radio transmissions, Schedule B. Bringing alcohol into a department facility or vehicle unless within the scope of an assignment, Schedule B. Failing to give your name and shield to a person requesting it, Schedule B. Unauthorized use of a department vehicle, Schedule B. And then fatal. Any force, abuse of authority, discourtesy, or offensive language violation that, in the opinion of the CCRB or NYPD, is appropriate. That's the last Schedule B. And now here's a catch-all, which I don't think they're going to hit you with, all right? Any other violation which, in the opinion of the COXO, so the COXO has to think it's a Schedule B, after notification to the Patrol Borough Adjutant and consultation with the advocate, is appropriate. So for that, any other has to come from COXO. They have to notify the adjutant and consult with the advocate for the one that's not on the Schedule B list, okay? Now here we have the acronym for you, FAL-FRAP. Use it, don't use it, I don't care, but as long as you know the Schedule B command disciplines, you can run this through AI and come up with a better acronym. Or what's even best is if you make your own acronym for this, because then you will never forget it, okay? So that's the penalties with the different CDs, A, Bs, and Cs. Now we're going to talk about actually issuing the green piece of paper, Command Discipline Election Report. Supervisory member. You're going to conduct an investigation upon observing or becoming aware of a violation of the rules or procedures by a member of a lower rank And if necessary, you're going to prepare the green piece of paper. The real name is called a supervisor's complaint, command discipline election report. And you're going to notify the violator if the CD is issued. So remember this, you're a boss. You're taking discipline against a member of your command or not a member of your command. You tell them. Don't be a punk. I remember as a sergeant going into ICO's office, or as a cop going into the ICO's office, we got to adjudicate the CD. They pulled out a CD that I had no clue of. You know why? Because the boss who wrote it had no fucking balls, all right? It's in the book. You write a CD, notify the violator, okay? Very easy. You are a boss. Take action. Don't want to do it? Don't study. You notify. So how do we get the CD number? Easy. You notify the desk officer at the member's command, and you obtain the next serial number from the CD log, which starts at 1 each year. The desk officer, what are you going to do? Make an entry in the CD log. Submit the CD to the subject's commanding officer, and if the MOS is from a different command, give a copy to your own CO. Watch out with that, all right? If you're all in the same command, one piece of paper regarding the CD. You write it out, give it to your CO. The scenario where you're banging out somebody from an outside command, the original is still going to the subject's commanding officer. It's called the command discipline. But you as the boss have to give a copy to your CO, because what's going to happen? That outside command is going to see that a boss from another command wrote up one of their cops. And if it's me, the first thing I'm doing is I'm getting on the phone and calling the boss of that, calling the CO of the boss that just wrote my cop, and going to have some words with him or her. Okay? So you want to give your own CO a heads up. And remember, whatever scenario they bring up, you're a 17 precinct cop, you're assigned to the 7-7 West Indian Day Parade, and the boss from the 8-1 is writing you a CD. Where are you getting the CD number from? Remember, it's command discipline. It's going back to the subject's command. Subject's desk officer is providing the CD number, okay? All right. CO-XO duties now. You're going to investigate to determine if the allegation is substantiated. Substantiated complaint, then determine if the complaint can be disposed of using the CD process in what we just covered, 318.01, all right? If it's unsubbed, Captain CO-XO, what are you going to do? Enter findings on the CD and file it in the back of the CD log. Prior test question for a captain. And actually, I think when I wrote the captain's exam, I wrote that. Straight up, fair question right there, okay? What else? Unsubbed BCDs. You enter the findings on the CD, file the original in the back of the log, and forward a copy to the next higher command as an FYI. So know what the captain does with unsubbed A's and unsubstantiated BCDs. CO-XO will confer with the supervisor who prepared the report if necessary, so it's not a must. Schedule interview if possible with the subject on the date when the supervisor who prepared the report is available. Advise member that one line rep may be present at the interview. Inform member of alleged violation and conduct interview. Do not record the minutes. It's informal and non-adversarial. Give the member opportunity to make a rebuttal, conduct further investigation if necessary. You're then going to inform both the subject and the supervisor who prepared the report of your results and any proposed penalty. Here are the options you're going to give to the subject cop. I'm going to use cop as an example, right? Let's say you got a cop who got a CD just off post, and the boss wants to take 10 days. Yes, very extreme. Just go with me for this scenario. So the cop can accept both the findings and a penalty. Yes, I was guilty. I was off post, and I'll take the 10 days. They can accept the finding, but not the penalty. Yes, I was guilty, but 10 days is too harsh. What's going to happen? We're going to talk about that in a minute. It's going to go upstairs to the borough, to the complaint review board, all right? Last scenario. I accept neither. I wasn't off post. That boss don't like me. He's full of shit. I want to go to trial. You're going to get charges. You're going to go to a department trial. Okay? Inform the member that the decision of the CD review panel is final. So this is when you accept the finding but not the penalty. Yes, I was off post, but 10 days is too harsh. Send it up to the borough for review by the CD review panel. And whatever they say is final. Now, be careful what you wish for. Look what happens. The panel may approve the penalty. They can say, yep, 10 days, you're taking it, right? They can reduce the penalty to any corrective measure the CO was authorized to impose. They can say, you know what, one and admonish. Or look at this one. Increase the penalty to not more than double what was proposed by the CO. So the CO wanted to take 10 days, and you wanted to bother the borough adjutant upstairs with this bullshit. Now he or she could say, yeah, you know what? You just fucking made me work. We're going to take 20 days. Be careful what I said, all right? Be careful what you wish for. The last thing, keep this in your head. The last thing you want to do on this job, one of the things, is to give a boss fucking work. Yes, they get paid more, but don't give them work they don't need, like in this scenario, okay? At the close of the interview, you, COXO, you're going to provide the member with a copy of the command discipline, okay? Adjudication time period. What does it say? The box on the right. Ensure the CD is adjudicated within 60 days of issuance. That's for the COXO unless there's some type of emergency. Next page. UMOS. You're going to get the CD back. You're going to get the recommended penalty. You have 3 working days of receiving the COXO's decision to notify the CO in writing on the CD of the option you elected. And we went through the 3 different findings, so be careful with that. Easy, 3 working days. Look how it starts. You are going to, within 3 working days of receiving the COXO's decision, you have those 3 working days to notify CO, not COXO. Watch for the bullshit like that, all right? If the member accepts the findings and the penalty, COXO, you're going to enter dispo on the CD and forward the CD to your ICO. ICO. Ensure the timekeeper makes and verifies adjustments to MOS's time with the payroll management system as necessary. If it's a BCD, ICO, you're going to file it in MOS's personnel folder and forward a copy immediately to the department advocate's office. If the member accepts findings but declines the penalty, COXO, enter dispo on the CD, forward CD to next higher command with report on type letterhead explaining facts of the incident with member's disciplinary history. After review panel adjudicates, if it was a BCD, you're going to forward it to the department advocate, a copy of the CD and a copy of the panel's decision. And the last scenario, if the member elects formal charges, I wasn't off post, I want to go to trial, what happens? COXO enters dispo on CD and files, confers with the advocate office regarding the preparation of charges and specs. All right, next scenario. If the command discipline is a result of an investigation by IEB or other investigative unit. So, one of your cops is getting banged out by Professional Standards Bureau, whatever the new name is now, all right? Or IEB. They're getting hit with a CD. It comes back to you as the CO. Look at what it says. And by the way, this rule, it's not new anymore. This rule was implemented in the patrol guide because one of our former instructors, who was a police commissioner, Dermot Shea, went to bat against IEB. They wanted to take away a certain amount of time. And he said, no, I'm the CO. I impose the penalty. That's why it's called a command discipline. Dermot put up a good fight. He won that. But then they came out and changed the policy. So again, if this is a result by IEB or another investigative unit, look what it tells the COXO to do. You don't have to do an investigation. Don't change the findings without conferral with and approval of the investigating entity. So you can't change shit unless you speak to IEB, whoever it was that wrote it. and don't change the recommended disciplinary action if noted without conferral with and approval of the Deputy Commissioner Department Advocate. Your hands are tied if the CD is written from an outside agency. Guess what? Why are we still calling it command discipline if you're going to fucking tie the CO's hands? Terrible, terrible decision they came down with. But it is what it is, all right? Next page talks about the citywide command discipline system. Supervisors, when you issue the CD, are to enter all relevant info for each case into appropriate department database as necessary. Next actor, ICO, lieutenant, or assistant ICO, maybe sergeant, or authorized member, whoever that is. Enter all relevant info into the citywide system within 5 working days of issuance. Then complete all entries regarding adjudication, and you have to do that within 5 working days of adjudication. And then COXO, you have to review and finalize. It says within 5 working days of completion and above adjudication entries. So at least they keep it all working days. 555 right here. And remember, the cop has 3 working days to decide what they want to do, okay? Under the box, removal and destruction of records. You want to get rid of any discipline that's on your history or in your CPI, etc. This was on a prior exam as well. No actors attached to this. Fair game for everybody studying, sergeant, lieutenant, captain, right? Schedule A's first. Schedule A command discipline. Records and dispose of convictions of a Schedule A CD gets removed and destroyed on an anniversary date of the entry if the member has no subsequent disciplinary violations. Schedule B CDs now. Records and dispose of convictions of BCDs gets removed and destroyed as follows. On the 3rd anniversary date of the entry, if during the time frame member has no subsequent B command discipline or C command discipline, all right? Or charges and specs. So getting an A will not stop this old B from being sealed. There's actually a whole procedure in today's lesson, which I'm not going to get to, on how you seal and remove any discipline records. Just because I don't get to it, you know the rule. You're responsible for everything we have in here. Now, unsubbed A's or B's. It says all unsubbed CDs get removed and destroyed from the CD log on the anniversary date of the entry. CO, you're responsible for destroying any hard copy of command disciplines, while Personnel Bureau is responsible for ensuring the destruction of digital records. Nice little chart on the bottom that we make for you. I tell you, these charts are great to see information from the procedure, looking at it side by side. Let's go to page... actually, I was going to do the must suspends. It's very easy, which is on page 29, but I'm short on time, all right? So cause for suspension or modification, definitely know it. It comes up all the time. Let's go to page 42. Last procedure for today. Unfit for duty. 5 out of the last 7 captain exams on almost every sergeant and lieutenant exam. It's coming your way, and it's such an easy procedure. Such an easy procedure. First thing you need to know. This procedure only applies to UMOS when they are either on or off duty and they're unfit due to alcohol or drugs. Does not apply to civilians, all right? Why? Because civilians, again, this is my joke, they're always fucking unfit. They look like they're fucking high, and they're not because they're clueless, all right? We'd be following this procedure all day long, okay? And if you were a civilian that came on this job, don't take it personal. You know I do what I do. I say what I say, so you can remember this come test day. So the unfit procedure only applies to UMOS. So supervisor who gets called to this job involving an off-duty probably at a bar or something, or is conducting roll call, and you see this cop who appears to be intox, eyes are bloodshot, reeks of alcohol, slurring speech, whatever. 2 scenarios. It's going to be in the street or it's going to be out in the house. These steps are numbered for a reason. Know them in order. Step 1, direct the subject to remain at the department facility or other location and await the arrival of the CO duty captain. Now you see how this step 1 ends with CO duty captain, but he wasn't called yet? You're going to think, hey, let me call the CO duty captain next. No, no, no. Know it in order. Step 2 is to immediately prepare the supervisor's fitness for duty report. Then step 3 is to notify COXO duty captain to respond. You need to know those 3 steps in order. That is it for a sergeant or lieutenant exam. That's all you need to know. That's all you do in this procedure when they're unfit, okay? You're not suspending anybody. You're not taking their guns as a sergeant or lieutenant if they're just asking you this procedure. Those 3 steps, and that's it. Now, COXO duty captain, you are the main one with the rest of the procedure, okay? You will immediately prepare supervisor's fitness for duty report. You're going to prepare 5 copies of all completed supervisor's fitness for duty reports. You are going to conduct an investigation to determine if the UMOS is unfit at the time of the alleged misconduct. If the UMOS is intox, remove firearms and follow the removal procedure, which is 318.13. You are going to place the UMOS on modified assignment or suspension as appropriate. Now, there's a little shift. This box on the right, which talks about the 49 distribution, screwed a line up here. So after placing them on modified or suspending them, there's one step that got cut out here. Just write it in somewhere. It's for the COXO duty captain, and it's very easy. Notify the IB command center and obtain a log number. Very easy and very important. Again, anywhere in there, because the COXO duties don't have to be in order. Except, what I should say, the COXO duties, the first step I would know. Immediately prepare supervisor's fitness duty for duty report. You want that to be known as your first step. All the rest is not really a big deal with the order-wise for the COXO. So anywhere in there, just pencil in, you want to notify the IB command center and obtain a log number. Next for the COXO, advise UMOS on the availability of counseling services program. Here I would pay attention because this is an important procedure and there's not much meat on the bone here for the COXO, so know these business hours. During normal business hours, they call it normal, whatever the fuck that means, all right? You're going to have a supervisor contact counseling unit direct at all other times. So you're going to have to assume what's normal business hours. They're going to have to make it very obvious, like on a weekend, 9 o'clock or like 11 p.m. or 2 in the morning. Obviously, you know, those are not normal hours. How do you get counseling? Contacted through the sick desk supervisor. Please get that down because that's where they will trip up a lot of you for captain's test, all right? And then you got to do a 49, okay? Addressed to who? First Deputy Commissioner, and it's a 49, 8 copies. Include details that led to the determination for being unfit for duty, and you will attach all supervisors' fitness for duty reports to the 49. Now, what's the breakdown of the 49? If you look at the little box on the right here, it lists all 6, but 2 are cut off. But if you look further down in the chart where it says 318.10, it lists all 6. So this box right here should have also Department Advocate's Office in it and MOS and CO. So I would cross out the box if I was you and just look at the right side of the chart on the bottom for the 49 distribution. Most important, it's addressed to the first dep, okay? And then those are the rest of the recipients. And this box is a great comparison of 49s for 4 different procedures that are in today's lesson. Definitely take advantage of these boxes. Don't just glance over them. Look at them. Study them hard, okay? It's great information. So that's my time today for today's lesson. It's a snowy day. You guys and girls finish the rest of the lesson, okay? Stay nice and warm and toasty and drink your tea and whatever. Keep studying. Remember, we'll be back in 2 weeks, February 7th and February 8th. We're covering 207. 207 is like 30, just going off the top of my head, I'm guessing 38 or 39 procedures. And you could see like 8 to 10 questions that come out of 207, okay? So we'll see you in 2 weeks for that. And you will also get your next textbook. And that's all I got for today. I know it's not the same being virtual, but we wanted to keep you on pace. I'm looking at the snow. It looks beautiful. I'm going to go enjoy the snow from my window. You keep hitting the books, and I will see you in 2 weeks. Peace out, everybody.